this it asks for your permission. Okay, you're okay with me recording it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, I will now look at the time. So when 2 minutes will be left, I will let you know. The 2 minutes are left, then it's going to be 1 minute. So I'll die a show of cards here that I have for you. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Can you see it? Then
Okay.
1 minute left, then 30 seconds, and then stop. Okay. All right. So I will now put you on timer. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, you can start.
Okay. My speech is about resiliency. Growing up with my dad would make me sit down every night and read him a book. He didn't know how to speak English at the time.
Jackie, I'm going to interrupt you. I would like you to go at the back, at least 6 feet
Oh,
from the
okay.
camera. All right. And I would like to see your at least more than in your full,
Okay.
more than your bust. Yeah.
Okay.
And go back. Keep going back.
Okay, let's try to. Okay, we'll put you right there. And then.
Do you have your note cards or anything in your hand?
Yeah, I'm trying to open them
Okay.
up right now. Okay. Okay, is that fine?
That's fine. That's a good distance. Okay. All right. You can start. This is what I want to tell you just before you start. You need to look at your notes very at a minimum. Okay. You know,
Okay.
you should be confident with what you're doing to talk. Just have a conversation. The notes, you should actually ideally have note cards, but since you don't have, you have it on your, because there's just, sometimes the page, it's technology, right? Might disappear, and I don't want you to shuffle at that time. But that's okay. Since you have that, I would like you to have minimum eye contact with your notes and have maximum eye contact with the camera. Look at me directly and just relax and start your speech. So whenever you're ready, I will just start the timer. Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
So my speech is about resiliency. Growing up, my dad would always make me sit down and read him a book. At the time, he didn't speak English at all. And he wanted to make sure I was prepared for the challenges that I would face in school. There were always piles and piles of books in our small apartment. And even though we were all squished together and we couldn't get a second alone without bumping into someone. He had grown up in Mexico and hadn't had the opportunity to go to school, as he had dropped out at the age of 12 after he came to the US. I think it was a huge reason why he wanted us to make sure that school was such an important part of our lives. He tried to teach me so much about not only being a good student and good person, but also how to use education for the good of others. Along with the emphasis on education, I've had to learn how to be the oldest daughter in my immigrant family. I was forced to read legal documents ever since I was little and had to lead my siblings through the American school system since no one else had been able to. I was also the one forced to read school documents, talk to their doctors, their teachers, and their counselors all before the age of 10. I was very overwhelmed, and it caused me to become a very anxious child, as any mistake could lead to more trouble down the road. Trouble that my parents couldn't deal with without me. I'd always been a very emotional kid, and it felt like everything I did was wrong, and any little mistake could become negative. And everyone depended on me. This meant that the only little thing that went wrong could make me freak out, not in a tantrum way, but in a fear way. My anxiety had led me, and my need to please others led to my academic success that I didn't even need to focus on to ace. I was a straight A student my entire academic career and had been the one to raise my entire family. But to everyone's surprise and disappointment came my junior year. I moved in with my mom that year since it had been easier to commute to school, and I decided to fill up my schedule full of AP and honors classes. I had never struggled in school before, so why would this year be any different? So many things were different. Now, I wouldn't say my mom's house was a free-for-all, but there wasn't much guidance or care. She was at work all day, which allowed me to not go to school if I didn't want to, or sleep in if I didn't want to, or do my homework. which was quickly piling up. My school year started normally before I realized there's no one here to stop me from ditching school and letting me sleep in for one more hour. I thought it's just one day, I'll be fine. One day turned into ditching once a week for the next 2 years. I didn't have the chance. I would ditch because I was tired or because I didn't have the assignment due that day done. So I decided to give myself an extra day. I would wake up every morning feeling sick and not understanding what was causing it. My grades started going down worse than they had ever had in my entire life, and had started to miss school so much that I became numb to seeing my teachers' disappointed faces. Everyone knew I had potential, but it felt like all the overwhelming feelings of being the perfect kid in my family just started to come down on me. It spiraled and spiraled until I couldn't escape it anymore, and after months of trying to contact my family, they reached the person I was hoping that they would never reach, my dad. The disappointment on his face was something I can never forget. I had been a perfect kid. What happened? Honestly, I don't know. It was a mix of anxiety, embarrassment, and fear of disappointment that felt like it was never ending. I wish I could say it got better, but it didn't. I was told I might not be able to graduate, and thankfully I pushed through and just barely graduated. It was during this time that I realized that the tummy aches and dizziness I had been feeling before school were panic attacks. Once I realized what was wrong, and I tried to focus on what I could do to feel better, or at least what I could do to function. I used my dictionary and reminders like never before and learned how to get things done. Having to hold myself accountable was one of the hardest things I've had to do. I have learned to find a way to make up for my mistakes and push through not only for the sake of my family and my dad, but for myself. I am in charge of my life and no one is going to do anything to affect my life other than myself. I have made many changes in the last year that hopefully lead to a better and happier me.
All right. Give me a second, Jackie. I'll just try to call back Matthew. 1 second. Hello, Matthew?
Hello?
Hi. Yeah, hi. I called up are you ready to go on Zoom for your speech?
I'm currently not home, but I could be home in 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. So when you're home, just let me know.
Like 1:30?
At 1:30. All right. 1:30. Yeah, give me a call and I'll get on Zoom and send you the link.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye. All right. So, all right, Jackie, this is since we are together here and nobody is here. Can anybody hear our conversation? No.
No.
Okay. All right. So this is what I'm going to tell you, Jackie. Okay. And I actually don't do this with anyone, but I'm glad that I got this time with you. I really liked your content. Okay. And I would probably do this. What I do is usually after the speech is done, did you see me doing it in class? Like I just give you a summary analysis, right? So nothing critical or nothing.
Yeah.
I don't do that. It's a private moment that happens between the student and me. So I'm doing it because nobody is here. I'm just doing it and I'm going to give you my feedback right away. All right.
Okay. That's fine.
So this is what I'm going to tell you. Okay. So I think in terms of speech writing, you wrote the speech, you worked on it, and it had a lot of nice elements in the speech. I did feel that you were able to strike a bond with the audience. Not that everybody has a similar experience like you did, but we have seen somebody who we know, or somebody, a friend, or somebody, or some stories which your story seemed just, the narrative fidelity part, that your story did ring true to us. It kind of evoked a sense of, I won't say a bonding with you. The fact that you went through what you went through, and this whole thing about your family moving and how it impacted you, that the story was had some nice elements. But this is what I'm going to tell you, Jackie, there was no eye contact, very, very little eye contact. And if you don't have that, then the whole speech falls flat. Okay. So since I've recorded, I can go back to your speech, but I don't want to do that. If I go back to your speech and I hear it again, then I will remember. I know that I kind of know the story that Jackie told us. It is about, her, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's about having immigrant parents, right?
Mhm.
A father who moved here, all right, and a mother who was at work most of the time, and you had to take care of your siblings, right?
Yeah.
Drop them to school, and so, and how with time you had some crisis in your life, like some a place where you didn't feel comfortable, a little bit of a psychological crisis, right?
Mhm.
You went through that. Okay, I needed to, I want the whole speech finished at 4 minutes 30 seconds, so you had the time to about stretch it to another 30 seconds at least, right? Okay.
Okay.
So you could have, your pace could have been slower. It could have been, the pace could have been slower. So I really don't remember how you finished. If I ask you, Jackie, how did you finish the speech? What would you say? What was your closing comments?
Well, I wanted my closing comments to be how I'm like doing now,
Yeah. Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So how are you doing now?
good.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
if I do give you the opportunity of just forgetting your phone, just forgetting and just telling me a story. It's just me here. Will you be able to do it?
Um, I'm not really good at like that's like what one of my problems is like I know what my speech is about, but in the moment when I'm saying it, I forget. So like I try to
Okay.
look away and like because I knew what part was coming up, but I would have really hard time remembering. And I
Right.
felt like panic sweating, which makes me
Right.
even
I
more
saw that.
stressed
And I'm here to, usually I don't have that amount of time with students, but since I'm here, if you can tell me, what did your first paragraph convey? What thought?
what my first paragraph was.
Yeah.
It was like about
Tell me.
I don't remember. Oh, it was about like a story of like between me and my dad and how we would like always read together, like
All right.
picture
One
books.
second. One second. One second. I'm writing it down here for you. How you and your dad would read together, right?
Mhm.
What was the second story you told us?
It was about specifically my dad's background and how he came from Mexico, and when he came to the US, he lost his education.
Dad's background. Then what was the third story?
It was kind of about how, let's see, it was kind of about my like family dynamic and how I work to be the translator and like caretaker.
What was the fourth story?
It was specific about how like all that caretaking and translating, how it helped me in my academic life and how I was a really good student.
What was the one, two, three, four, fifth story?
Moving into my mom's house and how it was kind of like a free for all.
You didn't live with your dad anymore?
No.
Your dad moved out? Okay. All right.
Oh, I think it
What was
just
the sixth?
muted. Okay, sorry. Sorry.
What was the sixth story?
Sixth story was about how moving into my mom's house affected me. So it was how I started doing bad in school, how I started ditching school.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, eighth story.
It was about like the effects and how I was caught snitching and like everyone else's feelings towards like what happened.
Then after
And
that,
the last part was just about how I like kind of like found a way to get out of that and how it kind of changed like how my life went like worked.
okay, don't look at it. Don't look at anything. Look at me. All right. All right. So here we go. I have this. Okay. First story is, it starts with, pay attention, how you and your dad would read to each other.
Okay.
Second, we are moving into the second story is how your dad's background how your dad's background in Mexico. You talk about his heritage and how he moved to the US and how he had to give up his whole education.
Mhm.
Okay, how the move affected him, right?
Mhm.
Am I in the right direction?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Third is your family dynamic. Okay, basically after moving. So moving is the linking word there. After moving, after your dad moved, how did it affect you? All right. So that then you became, it impacted your family dynamics, and you became a translator and a caretaker for your younger siblings. And that kind of helped to situate you in US. All right. You started doing this whole experience of caretaking and being the translator. You started doing, you were able to situate yourself in a new environment in US, and you were able to do well academically as well, this whole experience, right? Then moving, after that, your academic life was good. Then there was a disruption in your life. If you don't mind me, did your parents get divorced or separated or something like
They
that?
were like separated since I was like 7. But
Okay.
up until I was like 15, I was staying with my dad.
Okay. All right. So this is a break in the story. Everything was going good. This is the conflict that you had, and how things were going good and how this kind of messed it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you say that, okay, so 7 years of my life, 7 years of my life, I was living with my dad. And then I decided to move to my mother's house. Everything was good. Her house had a very different structure. It was very free. As I understand, there wasn't any discipline that was enforced, and it could work either way. For me, it didn't work that well. And I started declining, right?
Mhm.
I moved it and it affected, and everything, I started declining. My academics was not good. It started maybe my behavior, the way I was behaving, my socio cultural skills, my social skills, my academic skills, all of that suffered. And not only did I see the whole, not only did I see the negative, did I see that I was going down the spiral, but even my family members saw it, and they also felt the effects. And I could see that I was going down. However, tell me something. How did you find a way? Who at that point? Who is that person in your life, or philosophy, or something that you watched? What changed you? What happened? Why did you all of a sudden pick up and get out of this negative spiral? Do you know that, Jackie?
Oh, well, it was like after my dad like caught me, because like he was like very disciplined and like all about education. He was
so it's the dad.
And also when they told me that I might not graduate, that was like
okay. All right.
Two things.
Okay. So that was a turning point in my life. Then and if my family members were concerned about it, and then there were two things that helped me make the turn again in my life. It was my father, who was a very strict disciplinarian, though he did not have the best of education, but he wanted to have me to get the best of it. I'm sure, as a parent, I'm sure he wanted the best for you.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to and of course, it was so bad for me that at a point, I got to know that I might not graduate, and I did not want to disappoint my father. And there was a lot of hopes in my that my family had for me. And I again began to find myself, and I made a turn. And today I'm here at a stable, at a stable juncture in my life, where I'm pursuing this degree in COD. All right. So this is the story. That's it. You have to, and this is, I don't get the time to do this individually with my students. So you got to just have the thing. This is the story. One will come, and take your time. Take your time. Do you want to do it again? If you don't, that's fine. But
Like I can try, but like
no, you don't. Okay, no, there's no pressure. But this is what I did. I heard your story in my note cards here. All right, in here. 2, 1, 2, 3. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points. Okay. 8 points is that you had, and it has because I told you that you wrote your speech well. It was quick for me to follow and write down, because 1 point is getting into the mind, another point is getting into another point, so it's not choppy. I can follow your story. So you've written it well, but now you need to deliver it. Okay. Now you'll always feel there's always this issue that, oh well, if I look into it, it will be perfect. I will not miss anything. I will probably say everything that I want to. And when you talk, when I am not with my note cards, it will not be perfect. I might be stuttering. I may be, and you see how many times I do every time, and I have to stop myself to do that, right? And maybe it'll not be perfect. Yeah, I'll be honest. It will not be. If you're not reading through your thing, it will not be perfect. But it will be conversational. It might lose that perfection, and we don't need that perfection, because when we talk, we are not that perfect. It's always like, oh yeah, yeah. We talk like that. Who is so perfect that we, when we have a conversation, we don't think, there's no pauses. And the style, we are not in the 1960s. These days, in 2021, as you've seen in TED Talk and all the leading speeches, the style is very conversational. We do our speech just the way we talk.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a very Martin Luther King style that you say, I have a dream. It's a classic speech, but that was during there is a place for these speeches, but the most of the speeches that we do, especially the profile speech, which is more of a storytelling speech, those are the ones that are very conversational. Okay, so you have these points, and it's just like you're telling us a story. Take your time. You have those 5 minutes, and you have 8 points to cover. Mm-hmm. So you would be able to, I'm going to tell you a story. It's about, it starts with my dad, and I'll tell you that he moved to US, and he had to leave his dream, and I moved with him, and all of that. And then the point. So just don't have the full story, just have the pointers here. I have it in three note cards actually. And then just briefly glance, and then the story. You've got to be ready with the story. You have to tell yourself the story 10, 15, 20, as many times as you need, so that it gets into your system. Okay. And don't be ever inhibited or think that I might be stuttering, I might not be perfect. No one cares. People want to see that you are talking to them, you have eye contact, and you are having a conversation. None of us are perfect when we are having a conversation. I am the biggest stutterer. Like if you've seen me in class, I do that so many, and I hope my students don't find it annoying, but I try. I mean, at least, I'll keep trying. And I when I record, I do a lot of recordings. So I record and I hear how many times did I do, I'll go back, I'll re-edit it, I'll repost it. So it has to be, what works for me is I take when I have to do a speech, I just make my space slow. Okay. For those of us, is English your first language?
Yes.
No, right? Oh, English is your first language?
Yeah, okay. Now it is.
Now it is. Okay.
Maybe when I was little, I would.
Little, yeah, exactly. So my English is not my first language. All right. So, but now I even think in English. I think in it because I've been here for so long. But for a lot of second language learners, ESL, for them, they are translating it, right? So that there's a lag time. So then it doesn't come that smoothly. It doesn't come, they're thinking, and then they are uncomfortable with the pauses. It doesn't come that smoothly. So then it's like, and then you feel like looking at that. And it's not only an ESL problem. It happens to anybody, even with first language learners. Sometimes just doing a speech takes nerves. But
I just had one more problem that I'm like not that good at storytelling or putting my thoughts into words, which is
Right.
why I was looking so hard at my note card too.
No.
'Cause, like,
Okay.
like when I do storytelling, I end up like going like on a whole different direction. Then all of a sudden, like I randomly
That's
brought up
what
a
you
point that
think.
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
That's what you think. If you were not a good storyteller, I would have had asked you 15 questions. This wouldn't have been so simple.
Okay.
Now, if you ask me to now just stop and tell you what your speech was, because you had a good story, because it was like there was a beginning, there was a conflict in the story where you actually just show, just like a movie, you said all the good things were happening. All of a sudden, there's a conflict in the middle of the story. You move into your mom's house and everything starts falling apart.
Yeah.
Right? There's a conflict there. And then it goes downhill, downhill, down. Again, you're moving up. Okay, again, then your father and the fear of graduation and all, again, you go back. And then there's stability. So that's a good story. You're creating an entrance for us to speak, because you don't have to be an immigrant to experience what you're saying, but I think a lot of stories, a lot of things that we hear kind of reminds me of Jackie's story, Jackie's father. Even I don't even know him, but I have an image about him. That's how you've done. I have an image about your mother. I have an image about your siblings. So you've created that. So don't think that your storytelling was, no, you are a storyteller. You are, otherwise I won't have remembered. There was beginning, the climax, conflict, going bad. Again, she pulls up. Again, father comes in. Characters. In Jackie's story, there was Jackie, there were her siblings, there was a dad, dad played a very important role. There was a mom, there was some, all of that created your story. So, all right, Jackie, I think I gave you some feedback, and just hopefully this was helpful. And I just come to class. How is the class going for you? Is it okay?
Yeah. It's good.
All right. Okay. All right. So I will see you guys. I'll post a lecture sometime this week. You guys are today, there was nothing. It was professional day. No classes. I could have come to the building to do your speech, but the building was also closed. So
yeah, that's fine. Okay.
yeah. So all right. I'll send you your grade, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.